Thank you, Mac and Benji. Hello, everybody. I'm Valentina. I'm the distribution account manager with EnGenius. Thanks again so much for taking time to attend our co-host webinars. So EnGenius, very quick introduction who we are. We've been around in the market for about 24 years. We established locally in Southern California since 1999. We are very strong in our cloud management platform. We actually own the platform ourselves. As a cloud-driven leader in the connectivity space, we're delivering innovative networking solutions and very rich in features for either enterprise or small business in all sizes of solutions that needed for the market. So really quick, why EnGenius? We can rely on our expertise to drive your business. We basically provide end-to-end solutions. As mentioned, we're locally based, so we have a strong partner sales team to support all the pre and post sales. And we have local sales engineers and customer service team to do the support front and back end all the time. So that's pretty much a quick overview.
Great, thanks, Valentina. My name is Anthony Pham. I'm one of the product line managers here at EnGenius, and I'm responsible for the SD-WAN security gateways. So thanks again, Streakwave, for hosting this webinar, allowing us this opportunity to present. And just want to thank all of you that are on the call now. We really appreciate your time and your interest in our products. So before we get into the gateways itself, we just want to talk a little about our cloud platform. Quick introduction. I know sometimes cloud can kind of get very generalized and yet still means so much to different companies in terms of what it can do. So we wanted to just take a few minutes here, just kind of help you understand what we have as a solution, the features and benefits that we have. So getting right into it, first thing first, our cloud is a true 100% cloud controller. We don't need any hardware controllers or any devices of any kind, such as a key or any of that sort, to be on premise, to locally manage the devices or provide remote access to the internet. All our devices are managed in the cloud. And with that, all the processing of the network also happens in the cloud. So what advantage this brings is that not only are you remotely managing devices, but you're also centrally managing locations, sites, multiple offices, for example, around the world. If you have many locations, you can do that through our cloud. Another example would be, let's say if you had 100 access points and you place them all around the world, whether they're here in the US or in Europe or in Asia, without having the need to buy any other devices, these APs can all be centrally managed together. So just clicking a couple buttons and you can send a configuration to all those access points all at once. And that's really the true power of having a true cloud controller. It also provides you with zero-touch provisioning, so you can set up your devices without having to be on site. So your devices can be shipped there, still in a box, and you can have them all configured. And all they need is just for someone to plug them in and connect them to the internet, and from there, they'll be configured. Our cloud is very scalable. You can have thousands of devices, even millions of devices if you really got that many devices. Networks as well. We're really flexible in that sense. Hosting, there really isn't any. We really provide everything there. You don't need software that you run in AWS or on Google, Azure, anything like that. We're really turnkey. All you have to do is just sign up to our cloud account. And from there, you can start managing your devices. There's no licenses for managing. We don't charge anything in that sense. We do have some features that require services. For example, like reporting, where right now we offer 3 days of free supporting. But if you needed 30 days or more of reporting, then there's a bit of cost to that because we have to host that in our cloud. And hosting obviously costs more money. But in general, for management, that's all included. Quick intro to our cloud architecture. For those of you that are on a call that are MSPs, this is great for your market in the sense that it's multi-tenancy. So you could set up networks or organizations, which are a group of networks and devices under a customer. let's say if you had, let's say, restaurant ABC, and then you had another customer, call it cafes DEF, and you could have those customers on separate organizations, separate networks. They can even have access to those. And at the same time, you could oversee all their networks, and they would not be able to, they would be completely isolated. They would not be able to see each other's networks. So multi-tenancy, centralized organization or orchestration, where you can push out configurations, policies, firmware updates, all with a couple clicks. Security, we highly value privacy. So all your information, all your network configurations, all that is not accessible by us unless you allow it. We do have support capabilities where if you give us a code, then we could use that code to see what's going on. But other than that, it's completely private. We don't have access to any of your data. We never take a look at the traffic that's going through the network. It's all just management configurations that are stored within our cloud. Scalability, as I mentioned, it's very flexible. As many network sites and devices that you have. And reliability, this is pretty critical for us. We do have 99.99% uptime. Because we're built on microservices, we never take down our cloud for maintenance. So with that, you're always up. And because of microservices, it's very difficult to hack our system. You'd have to hack multiple servers. And with that, it would just be very difficult for someone to spend the effort to do so. And everything we do is hashed, salt and peppered algorithms. So it's secured in that sense. So all this comes to you in a very easy to use. We think it's best in class usability, Cloud UI. That runs on any web browser. And with that, you can access your networks from anywhere, anytime. Again, reducing the deployment times because of zero-touch provisioning. And we have a lot of great tools in reporting as well. Other than just reporting over 30 days, for example, as a service, we also have reports that you can customize and provide to customers if you're an MSP in that sense. Or if you're running your own RMMs and you need APIs or custom APIs, we can work with you on that as well. And I think one of the cool things about our solution that we launched more recently is an app, a very slick app where you can see what's going on real time and you can get notifications of what's happening in your network at a glance of your phone. All right, so that's the exciting part of our cloud, and let's get into the exciting part of our gateways. So this is a near category for us. We've launched these gateways, or our first gateway really just this year, and we're launching our second gateway actually this week. So we have 2 gateways right now, and we're actually launching a few more coming in the next months. We're really excited about this category because we see a lot of opportunity, immense opportunity in this market. And what that is that we're seeing the growth of the distributed workforce. A lot more people are working in satellite and branch offices. We've seen with the pandemic, work from home employees, the need for it, but also even without that, we're seeing a lot more work from home employees even today. So that growth has been immense. We're also seeing the rise of threats. We all know that enterprise, any typical enterprise would get hit hundreds or thousands of times in a day, but we're also seeing where small businesses are also getting hit. I think I once read a report recently where up to 70% of small businesses have claimed they've been hacked this year or attempted to be hacked this year. So that threat is real and it's growing. So it's really important to have a gateway to secure your network because it's kind of the first line of defense or a very critical piece to securing you and your customers, your networks. And we're also seeing the convergence of networking and security, where we are used to seeing security under one platform and then networking, such as access points and switches under another platform. But now we're starting to see those two converge together, where people wanted under one platform to do everything from end to end. And that's what we offer with our gateway now, with our switches and access points as well, is an end-to-end type of network solution. So with that, when we designed these gateways, we really wanted to make sure that this was part of our cloud. And with that, not just being able to be remotely managed, but being a unified part of our cloud in our ecosystem. So for example, if you're, let's say doing VLANs or you're setting up ACLs, this would transfer not just to the gateway, but to the access points and the switches that are within the network, and they would operate seamlessly together. So that's the intent of our cloud design and having these products. From a hardware standpoint for the gateways, we want to make sure that we had a very strong firewall, but a very high performing firewall with multi-gig Ethernet, dual WANs, and failover for 4G or cellular 5G links. From an application standpoint, we wanted all our gateways to have SD-WAN features, VPN, and we want to make sure that those VPNs were self-healing, and as well as all the rules that you would expect with the firewall. And so all that is really to benefit the businesses that are using these gateways, to improve the productivity, make sure their networks are running, to secure those employees from unwanted attacks. We wanted to provide a higher quality of experience, especially with the higher multi-gig speeds that are coming, and future-proofing customers in that sense. And all of that is offered to you with a very affordable solution, reducing your total cost of ownership. So as we get into the features, just to provide a quick summary, we'll go over what we have right now, and I'll take you into our UI as well and kind of demo what we have, or how easy it is to set up and install a gateway. And then after that, we'll get into some of the more fun stuff, some of the features and from a hardware and software standpoint that we're looking to develop, or we are developing now, that you'll have and see in the market pretty soon. So the first thing that we developed here and we're very proud of is our SD-WAN and VPN to secure networks site to site. So let's say if you have a central office that needs branch offices, and your typical spoke and hub type of topology, we can support that very simply, as well as in a mesh topology where you might have many branch offices that need to connect to one another to share data or files. We offer that with our SD-WAN. We also have self-healing connections for that. So if something goes down, we have the intelligence to see what's happening and connect those or address those connection issues as well. So as an example here, let's say if your gateway has a dynamic connection, and we all know every once in a while your ISP might change those settings, we can quickly evaluate that and make the adjustments necessary to get that gateway back online. So maybe I can just take a moment here to show you how that quickly that works. So I'm going to break away from this presentation for a second here, and we're going to go into our cloud portal. All right, so to go to our cloud portal, again, it works in any web browser. You just type in cloud.engenius.ai. And for the sake of time, I've already created my own account and a network. So I'm going to sign into that. And so as you can see here, this is a brand new network that I created called Anthony Test. And there's no devices in here at the moment, no gateway, switches, access points. But we can see that the network's set up. And we're going to go ahead and add a device to this. So to add a device, we'll go into our inventory. We're going to register a device. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in a MAC address here. So I'll simulate that here. Register, and we'll look for the device. Here it is, and then we're going to go ahead and assign it to that network that I created. Anthony Test down at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and apply it. Now it's assigned to a network. And then we're going to go into my dashboard once again. And we can see that the gateway is now here. And we can just make sure that's the right one by checking the details of that. You can see that's the right MAC address. All right. Everything seems to be running at the moment. And now we're going to go into the gateway's VPN site-to-site settings. We're going to enable this here. And when we enable it, it's just as simple as a click of a button. And we can choose between mesh VPN connections or hub and spoke connections. And we can choose, when it comes to hub and spoke, which gateway that's already in my organizations that I want to connect to. But in a mesh environment, it's connecting to every gateway that's already in my organization. So I have many other networks that are already there that I want to connect this network to as a mesh environment. So I'll go ahead and apply that. Update successful. And then just to make sure, we can go into our VPN status here, and we can check if those gateways are connected. So these are the other gateways that are in my network. And I can see here that these green bars indicate that they're connected and online. I can also see that in the map view. And I can see that the gateways are establishing connections now. And I can see that all these gateways are active. However, and what's cool about this is you're not only just seeing if the gateways are up, but you're also seeing if the connections are established. And you're also seeing the health of those connections in terms of latency. And we can see that right now, 1 is connected without any issues, and then 2 are establishing connections. And so I expect those to update in a couple of minutes here or less. Okay, now we're starting to see another one come up, but it takes a couple of minutes, and then eventually all these will be connected and establish that mesh network. And then with the cloud, we can see other features of the network, such as topology. At this moment, I only have just this gateway online, but if I connect switches and access points and other devices, or even clients, we'll start seeing those populate here. Some of the other cool features with this is, again, setting up VLANs and access controls and firewall features as easy as just a couple of steps. So I'm actually going to go back to the presentation and talk about those settings a little bit more. But as you can see here, it just took a few minutes just to quickly get a new device online and connect it to other locations for mesh networking. So going back to, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question? Yes. Or do you want to hold off, or do you want to go into the questions? Okay, so we're taking just a quick second here to look at some of the questions. One here.
You listen, keep going.
Oh, keep going. Okay. How about we hold off on the questions to the end? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and we have a lot of stuff to present. So we'll hold the questions if we can, and we do have a Q&A section toward the very end that we can jump into that. So apologies, everyone. Hang on for a bit. Let me go through a few more slides, and then we'll get to your questions. All right. So when we designed the firewall, we wanted to make sure that it was high performing. And with that, we chose Intel as our partner for developing this solution. So the reason why we chose Intel is because they came out with some new chips very recently that were made specifically for gateways. So if you think about the past, a lot of the devices even that are out there now, you have their own processors, but they also have ASICs that are needed to provide acceleration. And that allows for faster VPN speeds and firewall throughputs. But with Intel, they've designed a single chip that can do a lot more processing. It's part of the Atom processor chips, and they have some really cool stuff when it comes to crypto to improve VPN speeds. And they even have some accelerator options that boosts the capacity of the performance for the chipset bandwidth-wise. So we did another webinar with Intel roughly a month ago on their site that talks a lot more about their solution with our product. So if anyone's interested, we can send a link on that after this to get into more of the specifics of those, that design itself. And another great thing about our solution that we're really focused on is reliability. We spent a lot of effort and time to make sure that Productivity is the critical piece of a network, and having dual WANs operate very quickly. Whenever a connection gets lost, for example, if you're running a dual WAN, the first WAN drops, within about 5 seconds, we'll have that second WAN up that quickly. And if those two go down, we also have cellular link options so that it can fail over also to a 4G/5G connection. But it's not just about redundancy. It's really about making sure your WAN connection stays efficient. So we want to make sure you get the most out of that as well. So our goal really is to make sure that all your WAN speeds that you're getting have load balancing so that you get the most out of those connections. From a dashboard standpoint, I think one of the greatest things about our solution is how easy it is to use. And as we displayed just a couple minutes ago, the visibility that you get out of it. You're not only just seeing the connections, you're not only seeing devices are up, but you're also checking the health of the network overall. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on, is this design, to make it as simple and easy as possible for you to see what's happening in your network. All right, so that's what we have at the moment. There's a lot more features, but a lot of that is expected with these gateways, and we want to kind of spend a little more time that we have here to talk about what's coming. So we're going to go into some of the cool things that are launching this year. A lot of this more in this quarter for Q3, some of this in Q4, but most of it in the next 3 to 4 months. So we know that stateful packet inspection is kind of your necessity to kind of get your network up, to have your protocols and your ports protected. But we want to go further into that, and we've been developing a deep packet inspection engine. And having a deep packet inspection engine allows us to do more when it comes to application filtering. And so we have application rules that we're creating that will allow you to block out category applications, or you can, as you can see down below in this image, you can select certain applications within a category to block. And we want to make that as simple, as easy as possible. So in this slide here, you can see that you can block websites, you can block applications such as gaming. I know, Valentina, you like to game a lot. Don't worry, I won't turn that off. You can still Xbox Live if you like. So really cool feature here to have for your office environment. We're also working on policy routing. This is great if you have dual WAN. Having dual WAN, you can specify what type of traffic you want to split between your devices that are connecting. So let's say, for example, if you have a WAN that's kind of your primary connection and it's the most bandwidth, and then you have a secondary WAN that might be a little slower, maybe for your higher end applications, such as this webinar, or certain applications like SaaS you want to run through a higher bandwidth, you can do so with one WAN and assign devices for that to that WAN. Or if you have slower applications such as file transfers that really aren't priority, you can go ahead and assign those type of applications, or even devices that do that more frequently, to that secondary WAN. So an example for us in our office would be, let's say for our product management team, which really needs a lot of bandwidth, we can assign them to the higher priority WAN 1. And then, sorry, Valentina, but maybe for sales, you'll be on the good network, but not the best network, and we'll put you on WAN 2. Yeah, sorry, budget's been a little tight. All right, other features that we're developing is URL filtering. I think most of us, especially those that have kids at home, are understanding of the need for filtering. Similar to the home environment, you want to make sure that your employees don't get distracted and stay productive. So we have this capability here, so that they can restrict any type of traffic or any type of content that you want them to not be privy of. Sorry, Valentina, I know we all like Taylor Swift, but we can do that research at home and not in the office. So we can block all that. Bandwidth limits, we can set this across all clients. So I know we all have that someone in the office that loves to download a ton of traffic and hog all that bandwidth. So in this case, we can really set it fairly for everyone. so that it's even across the board. So that in my example, when I want to watch gateway videos, I can do that without having to worry about the next guy next to me who wants to watch Star Wars videos in 8K all day long. So we can set that in block traffic in that sense. Other features we're working on, packet captures. When there's a need to diagnose what's going on in the network, whether that's on the LAN or the WAN, we can quickly provide you with that packet capture. And you can save all these files anywhere on your PC, for example, if you want. We also have syslog options that are coming where you can save your syslogs for not only just a single device, but everything on your network. So in this example here, you can see that you can check box gateways, switches, access points, and firewall logs as well, which are a little bit independent from the management features within a gateway. You can log all those logs, even if you have hundreds or thousands of them, with a single click here. As simple as that. You can also view the logs real time without having to send them to syslog. We have the option there in real time so that you can quickly see what's happening within your network as well. One of the cool things that we're working on right now that we expect to be our first release of the features that are coming is a new VPN client tool. So I think we're all familiar with using VPN. What we're doing here is making it simplified. So without having to need to set all your settings for the VPN that you would typically do with the other client devices, all you'd have to do is really just enter your username and password of that client. And from there, the gateway will authenticate the client and allow them through. It's very similar to some of the more enterprise type VPN client tools that are available in the market today. And from that, they have access to not just the gateway that might be the primary connection that they're looking to get into, but if there's other gateways or other networks that you want them to connect to or give them access to, they have those options to connect as well. So that's the first step that we're looking to do when it comes to VPN client. And as you can imagine, as we go further, we'll have a lot more options here where you can restrict certain access within the network for that customer, or sorry, for that employee. So this is really going to take us into a new realm when it comes to, let's say, remote access, or even as some might say, ZTNA, where we're getting more toward the zero trust type of application. So today we have the ESG 510. We launched this earlier this year. We're working on launching the 610 this week. We should have inventory of that available maybe Thursday or Friday. So it's here now. The difference between these solutions are very similar in terms of their design. They share the same enclosure. It's really the processing capabilities. They both have 2.5 gig ports on the WAN side. They both have 2.5 gig ports on the LAN side. They both have USB 3.0 for the fastest speeds when it comes to cellular uplinks. And they both come with TPM chips for protection as well for security. And from a throughput standpoint, they're both very capable solutions. The 510 supports up to 4 gigs of throughput with firewall enabled, and the ESG 610 is capable of 6.7 gigs of throughput. From a VPN standpoint, you're getting about a gig on the 510, and for the ESG 610, you're getting about 1.7 gigs. So either one of these devices are really giving you close to line of speed for both the WAN port and the LAN port, with even 2.5 gigabit ports enabled or included. Another big difference is just the amount of concurrent VPN tunnels and VLAN connections that you can have with these devices, as you can see down below in this chart. We are working on a couple new gateways that will be launching very soon. The next gateway that we'll have in the market is the 620. This will have 8 2.5 gig ports that can be dedicated toward either the WAN or the LAN. We also will have SFP ports on these, SFP plus ports, capable of 10 gigs. And we'll have USB cellular as we do with the other gateways. From a throughput standpoint, the 620 can provide up to 9.5 gigs of firewall throughput. And from a VPN standpoint, we can offer up to 1.7 gigs there. We're going to have a lower end model toward the later half of this year, or very close to the end of this year, the ESG 320. And with that one, it's going to be a little slower in the speeds, but we'll still have a 2.5 gig LAN port, but the LAN ports will be in the single gigs. Another note is that all these gateways do come with a single PoE port. So if you have a smaller application, such as maybe a restaurant or a cafe that you're looking to suffice, you can have a access point hanging off of this so that you don't need to have a, let's say, a PoE switch that you need to power that access point up with, or a PoE injector. You could just have this gateway and an access point, and that's all you would need to kind of kickstart your setup for a smaller application. And that's really it for these gateways. I'm going to take it back to Valentina to talk about some of the promotions that we have for our gateways now, and also a special offer that we have for those of you that are on this call right now. And then after that, we'll get into a Q&A session.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Anthony. It's always exciting to hear about all those cool features. So for now, we have this limited time promotion for one gateway, the ESG 510. You can get a free access point, ECW 220. It's limited until end of next month. And there's no minimum limit, so you can purchase as many as you want, as many times as you want, for our cloud authorized partners only, which we can talk about a little bit more for the next slide, how to become to our cloud authorized partners. So there are a lot of nice supports and features once you sign up for our partner program. Our cloud solution products are only eligible for our partners. And once you log into the partner portal, you can see a lot of marketing collaterals, our newsletter, some new release of our new products, and also our webinar calendars. And you will have the access to our deal registration for the margin advantage, like our promotion that we talked about earlier, and also for other cloud product line promotions. We have a lot of good activities going on for this quarter. And also, as we talked about the support, so once you register this partner program, we will have a dedicated sales rep, depends on the territory, to support you during the business hours. And we also have this chat bot. If you have some emergency issues, you can just type in there, and some AI solutions will be provided. And if you need to escalate to our technician support, some dedicated sales engineer, they will respond to you when they're up online. So those are a lot of good programs we have for our partners. And also for our today's activity, if you sign up for our partner program and pass our certificate for the security gateways, we will send a free gateway. That's very exciting, and it's only for today's first 25 partners that registered. Pretty exciting.
Can I ask you a question, Valentina?
Yeah.
What if people are already a partner? Could they still do the certificate and send that in?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So if you're already a partner, there are two ways that you can have access to the certification test. So we have these two links. So Benji, if we can include those links after the webinar, will be really good. So once you log in, you can either click the training, or if you already passed the partners program, you can go under Easy Learn and EnGenius Academy to have access to our certification courses. And once you pass it, you can just email the certificate to partners@engenius.com and let us know your address. We'll just direct ship the gateway to you.
So we have your email address if you signed up for this webinar. We'll be sharing that with EnGenius so that they can cross-reference. If you do sign up and get the certificate, they will look at those who attended and those who take this exam or the certificate to get it.
Absolutely. All right. Anthony, if you want to quickly review the Q&A.
Yes, so we're going to go ahead and get into Q&A now, and we're going to take a look at some of the questions.
Okay.
One of the questions here is, for cloud support, do you have two-factor or multi-factor authentication? Yes, we do. Absolutely. We do support two-factor authentication today, where you can enable this. It's not enabled by default, but you can turn it on and you can use your email as a second authentication type. Another question here.
Anthony, do you want me to read them? And I mean, we can start at the top and I can read them out loud. That way it's on the video.
Sure. I'm looking at the bottom, but let's go ahead and go from the top. Not a problem.
Okay. So a guy named David, please compare and contrast your gateway against the SonicWall TZ series of firewalls. Specifically, how does it compare with antivirus, anti-spyware, anti-botnet, GeoIP, and other offerings? And are we able to block that at the application level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it depends on how you're looking at it. From a hardware standpoint, I think we offer a lot more from a performance standpoint when it comes to comparing products apples to apples and price points and port count. When it comes to services, we don't have as much services as they do right now. As you can see, we're working on adding a lot of those things, such as application filtering. And I think one of the big differences is some of these guys are charging a lot for these services. And we're really trying to make this as affordable as possible, even with options that are included in our cloud solution as it is right now, where you're not being charged for some of these features. But I think in general, it depends on the customer that you're going after, especially for some of these, let's say, small to medium-sized businesses. They all have different needs. They're also willing to pay certain amounts of money for some of these needs, and some might be under a budget. And so with that, there's different levels of products and different level price points that people are willing to purchase, and will fit in some of those needs and maybe not all of those needs. Okay.
Guys, if you have any follow-up questions, type them in. I'll look at the bottom if your answer, or if your question's being answered and you want to add to it, I'll look and see at the bottom. So the next question from Carrie, are you trying, when you were talking about Intel processor, he asked, are you trying to say that the Intel processor is going to be faster than Fortinet's dedicated ASIC?
It depends. Certain models, obviously their ASICs are going to be much faster. Let's say on the lower end solutions, let's say like the Fortinet 40F, I think we're very comparable with our Intel solution to that product. As you get into the 4100s or more, it's going to be a different ballpark. I'd say Intel solution is really meant for the smaller applications on the lower end that are competing against maybe the 40s and the 60s when it comes to Fortinet solutions.
Cool. Okay. Carrie also asked if, and I think you were talking about the products, but he wanted to know about the upcoming products, what devices are being released. And Carrie, I'm going to go ahead and move on to that unless you have a follow-up. But good question there. Vladimir asks, do your firewalls support session persistency during WAN failover, or will the sessions be dropped and reset?
At the moment, it's being dropped and reset, but we are working on that, improving it so that it can get to the a level where it's seamless.
Okay.
It takes roughly about just a few seconds, but less than 5, I would say.
Oh, okay. David asks, can we carve out bandwidth reservations for specific protocols or IP addresses, sources, and destinations? Can we set up address groups so particular destinations could be sent raw, not subject to filtering?
Yes, for IP addresses, yes. We don't have that capability, obviously, at layer 7, but we're working on that.
All right, David, any follow-up? Let us know. Happy to follow up. Okay, the next one from Patrick. Can quality of service QoS be configured on the firewall for VoIP?
Not at the moment. We do not have options for VoIP, but we can look into that. We use standard QoS protocols, or we're using 811 E, I believe, or can't remember which one of those. Keep forgetting which one of the standards fall under QoS, but we're using standard-based QoS for setting our packets. We don't have anything specific for VoIP, if that's a question.
I wish we could have them answer or ask them in real time, but okay. So if you do have follow-up to that one, just send us type it in. I'm looking at the bottom here. Okay, next question from Vladimir, and I think it's a follow-up question. So do your devices have a full functional firewall with the ability to set inbound and outbound layer 3 rules?
Yes, we do. At layer 3, we do have inbound and outbound rules, to answer your question.
All right, and now this one probably one that John asked about chat support or support in general. And so question about support, maybe you could elaborate a little bit about how being an EnGenius partner gives you access to some support, but I'll let you take it over from here. About the chat support or support in general.
We have chat support. We usually use that as our first escalation. However, as more discussions are needed, we can hop on a call. We do that with many customers. It's free. There's no cost to that at all. But usually we start with chat to see how things go, and if we can resolve it through chat first. But we all know that sometimes things get a little bit more complicated, and we really pride ourselves on supporting customers. So we do have an FAE or FAEs. We do have PMs here, including myself, that are more than happy to jump on a call with the customer if there are any issues, or if you even need help with solution architecting.
Okay, let's see, there's no follow-up on that one. John asks, John has an ESG510 and was hoping we would talk a little bit about the multi-LAN interface and how that works.
I'm trying to look for that question. Could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, so John, the question's from a guy named John. He has an ESG510, and he was asking, or kind of hoping we'd speak a little bit about the multi-LAN interface and how it works. It's probably not exactly a question, and maybe John, we could probably connect with you directly if you have more, but I didn't know if there was Anthony, if there was anything you were like talk about more ESG510 and the multi-LAN interface.
I see that John is not getting support for anyone. So John, I'd be more than happy to give you a call after this. Let me see if I can get your contacts from Mike and Benji here, and we can definitely talk some more about some of your questions. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I'll be ringing you right after this.
Okay, a few more questions. Ludo, so Ludo asks, if we logging locally to the gateway and make some changes, will it be copied to the cloud? So if we make any changes to the gateway, will it be copied to the cloud, and vice versa?
Yes, I mean, everything that we have here is cloud-based. So as you make configuration changes, it's all stored in the cloud. It's not lost. You'll have it always there for you.
All right, I'm gonna read a couple questions from Cesar. Will the gateway be all you need to manage other devices like what WAPs and switches? For example, with other vendors, he needs to manage consoles for these devices. Or is it that the cloud will manage everything? And is there a chart that may have number of devices versus the number of clients?
Yes, absolutely. So there is no other hardware or devices that you need in addition to access points or switches of ours or the gateway. All the configurations are happening in the cloud. So there isn't a local or on-premise controller that's managing everything. So it's all centralized, all your networks, all your sites, you can have them all at once. For example, if you have 10 offices spread across the US, those can all be managed as a single network, and you can make a configuration change to all of them all at once. So if you're, let's say if needing to block a client, or if you need to change your password on your Wi-Fi, you can just quickly go into your cloud account, make that change, and it gets propagated to all devices within that network. You don't have to do it one by one, or you don't have to look at each site as an individual network. All those sites can be considered one network as well.
Cesar, I hope that helps. The next question, Sabrina asks, will the cloud-based platform eventually include end stations, or is the platform where we can keep an eye on multiple sites with multiple end stations?
That question, I don't have too much background on. I'd have to follow up because I'm not the product manager for end stations. So apologies, Sabrina. I don't know the answer, but we can try to follow up with you after that or after this session.
One thing that I'll do, Anthony, and for everyone listening, is when we send you the recording tomorrow morning, we'll include a link that if you want to ask an individual question, just click the link and it will take you to a form to fill out so that we can get it to Anthony and Valentina over to EnGenius and we can follow up with you. We want to follow up. I think it's important to know that follow up is key to what we're trying to do with you guys. Okay, I'll go through it again here. John asks again, or another question, can I configure a second LAN interface with DHCP? It does appear to support that in the GUI, in the GUI.
Yes, you can support up to 3 LANs with their own DHCP. If you're using a single WAN connection, we have 4 ports on our gateways.
Excellent. I hope that answered the question. A question from Ludo: will future firmware versions be available to install after the Pro license expires, or the Pro license is only for the Pro features?
It depends on how you have your organization set up. If your organization is set up as a Pro network, then in that sense, you're going to have the Pro license to update it. But your devices in general can always be put into basic mode, and with basic mode, you can always update them to the latest firmware, even without a Pro license.
Ludo, I hope that helped. Another question from Vladimir: do your devices have the active WAN load balancing support, and can traffic from one VLAN be directed to a specific WAN?
Yes, we can. To answer your question shortly.
It's a simple yes, right?
Yes.
John, we'll connect with you. Thank you for that. Let's see. Larry jumped off. He did have one question I wanted to get on here. He's going to listen to this again, but API integration and data RMM. I apologize. I don't know what that one means. RMM and donuts would be awesome. Will there ever be a virtual gateway that we can run in our DC and other virtualized environments?
Yes, if you're running your own RMM, which is remote monitoring and management solution, then we have APIs for that. We might want to talk to you about what APIs you're looking for specifically that you want to do, but we do have a general list of APIs that are relatively available so that you can use those.
Okay, well, the last question there I think came in fairly early, and I think you answered it for Larry. Anthony and Valentina, thank you. Our time is about to expire here. Everybody keep an eye out for the email. We're going to send it in the morning. I'm going to shoot it over to Mike, and Mike can wrap it up for us.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Benji. Thank you, everyone on this call. We really appreciate your time and interest.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to add, there's also some NFR, not for resale kits. On our, you can find them on the streakwave.com site. You can go to manufacturers EnGenius, and there are multiple with the ESG 510 gateway in it. And these are low-cost NFR testing kits with the gateway. One has 2 gateways for site-to-site setup. Another has some additional hardware switches and APs. So check those out as well. And thanks again, everyone.